almost like a very heavily governed Wikipedia for triathlon. You know, something that just kind of adds to itself, and all the newest and best knowledge just starts building to the benefit of the whole community. What I'm interested in is just how specific. Like, let's say you want, let's say you meet certain demographics and, you know, certain stats within the TriDot software. Let's say then you need a heavy run focus in the out season. What does a run focused out season look like, and how does the software account for that?
Yeah, so it's a combination. One is I touch every single training plan. I actually look at all of them, and that's kind of the way that we work with our coaches. So I'm providing a big service to them, so I'm able to use the software, pull the data in, watch for things, and just start seeing patterns, and I push it to them, and then they work with the athletes. So the athletes may have stuff like travel or illness or anything comes up, changing races, and so they work with them to manage that. So when I'm looking at, you know, run training, a run focus specifically, that's probably the most common out-season focus. You know, some athletes will have a bike or a swim focus, but by far the most popular one, or I guess the most common one, is for athletes that want to do the run training in the out-season. And one of the first things that I really encourage athletes to do, especially if they're new to TriDot, they don't do this if they've been an athlete, but is to really double check and confirm the diagnosis of why they believe they need a run focus. There's a lot of athletes in absence of I mean, if you don't have a TriDot score saying my bike is a 45, my run is a 32, and my swim's a 45, and a way to really confirm that's where my run focus is. A lot of athletes will look at they're new to running. They'll look at their last race result. Maybe they didn't have a very good run split, or as good as they thought they had, and so they'll make some deductions and conclude that they need a run-focused training when maybe they just went too hard on the bike, or maybe they just paced themselves wrong on the run, or maybe, you know, who knows? Maybe their training wasn't right going into the race. There's all kinds of things. So once they confirm that, we see a lot of athletes who choose to go and do a marathon. They'll say, I'm going to be a better runner, so I want to go do a marathon. Obviously, if I train for marathon, you know, I'll be a better runner. But that's one of the big fallacies that we've been able to dispel on, that the notion of going out and doing a large, high volume of running, it actually can harm your running, and actually almost always does. Even marathon runners don't train by doing marathons. They run about that much just because they run so fast. So if you don't think of run training as mileage or distance, but think of it as duration. So for a marathoner, elite marathoner is going to go do a long run, you know, of an hour and a half, of 2:10, 2:15, but that's an entire marathon for them. You know, so when they're doing these high mileage 20-mile days, it's not a long day. So think, you know, our athletes, will work with them on the duration. So it's more of a duration-based effort. So you hold a specific effort for a specific duration. And we encourage athletes that, you know, say if you should be racing full Ironman races and you want to do a race, running race in the out season, do a half marathon, train for a half. Or if you're a 70.3 athlete, train for a 10K. Train for one level down. It'll help your mechanics. It'll help you get faster, your speed, and then later in the season you're going to be a better runner. So then when you do ramp up the stamina and go for a longer race distance, you'll be a better runner. So a lot of athletes that have the biggest need for getting faster, they're slower athletes, they're heavy athletes, they're older athletes, they have a short running background. For all of those reasons, training long, running longer distances actually makes them worse runners, and it increases their injury risk. So if you think about it, athletes, even good athletes, are only able to hold good run form for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then their run form mechanics really break down very quickly. So if you have these athletes who really, really need a run-focused training, need to get better on running, they're going to spend the vast majority of their time running very slow with horrible form. So they're going to run 40 minutes, decent form, if they're good and strong, and then if they run a 2-hour run, they're going to run another hour and 20 minutes with compensating muscles. They're going to be strengthening compensating muscles. They're going to be beating up their knees, hips, backs, ankles, and doing all kinds of damage, teaching themselves how to run slow. So it's much, much better for those athletes to focus on building strong strength mechanics, power, good durability, being consistent, and doing a lot of different types of training, different type of intensities, versus just going long. Excuse me. I know she got a phone call, so I'll say one more thing about, honestly, with our athletes on improving the run. The run is by far the discipline where the athlete benefits the most from body composition changes. So the heavier the athlete is, the proportion of their body weight to their strength is huge. So in the out season, oftentimes one of the best things that an athlete can do is improve their body composition if they need to do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be only with training. I know we use Generation UCAN with all of our athletes. It's a starch rather than a sugar-based malt. It's not a maltodextrin or sugar, and you actually burn your fat. It keeps your blood insulin level during your workouts, and so they're able to burn fat instead of shutting down fat when your pancreas secretes insulin into your blood, and so they're able to actually drop a ton of body fat during the out season, even on a reduced training load. And so they're going to come next year with a much faster, much better body composition, in addition to being stronger, faster, with better mechanics and healthier. So I know that's just a handful, a scattering of different things that athletes should and shouldn't do, toward that run-focused out season. But if they do all those things as they're appropriate to them, their background and age and performance level, all of those are much more beneficial than doing the traditional run long, run marathon, half marathon, and that kind of just random training, and just doing a lot of it is going to make you faster.
It's